The ship is said to be the safest place amidst the blue waters, but you never know when tempest falls. And you need to be alert at all times and at all costs. It's always good to be safer than sorry. After all, it's a matter of life and death. A storm, a fire on board, a leakage, a crash, anything can lead you to abandon a ship in the middle of a voyage. And if that's the case, where do you be if not on the ship? Yeah, right, lifeboats and life rafts. Where the major difference between a lifeboat and a life raft is that a life raft is a very strong inflatable tube with a canopy on it to provide protection and shelter from wind, water and sun. It is inflated by a gas cylinder and has an observative port for least exposure while keeping a watch, whereas a lifeboat is usually a rigid and sturdy in nature, made of fiberglass and wood hull. And lifeboats have an engine of their own for propagation through waters. Now both lifeboats and life rafts aren't super comfortable on the inside as they're meant for survival. Now getting into surviving at the sea, a raft is engineered very carefully and skillfully, keeping in mind all the factors that might pose a danger to the raft. Be it overturning or leakage or any wear and tear, there's always something to back you up. Both the lifeboat and a life raft comes with a load of equipments necessary for your safety and to call for help. They're usually packed in a waterproof hard case which is positioned at a very easily accessible point of the vessel and secured by an easy to open mechanical or hydraulic lock system. Every raft boat has a specific capacity and should be designed according to the capacity on board. The accommodation must not exceed the rated capacity, which otherwise might be risky for the stability of the raft. It is important to know that how these rafts are secured on a vessel and how to deploy them. And for the same reason, regular drills are conducted time to time to keep members on board acquainted to the protocol without panicking in times of emergency or distress. Under the guidelines of the IMO and the SOLAS, there are numerous equipments on these small vessels necessary for surviving and calling for help, including a manual which teaches about the function of a life vessel and using the equipments and ways of fixing in case of any damage to the vessel. Ration, which includes packaged drinking water, biscuits and necessary fooding sufficient for surviving. And of course, they should be consumed in a controlled manner. Reflectors, for reflecting the sunlight to any visible potential help such as a helicopter or any other such vessel and catch attention. And again, a flagon and rockets for somewhat the same purpose should be aimed properly upwards and usually release bright red or orange smoke to catch attention of help up to a sufficiently long range. A satellite phone which is obviously used for calling, pedals and oars, a hand pump to pump air to the raft tube as air can most likely leak out over time, tools and rubber adhesives to look after wears and tears, a fishing line and hooks which is obviously for feeding on fish. Fun fact, there is also a manual which states the edible kind of fishes in sea for survival. Isn't that cool? And last but not the least, medications such as seasickness tablets and first aids. One should never leave the vessel in the midst of waters without a life jacket, be it while boarding the ship or while boarding a life raft. Now there are possibilities of errors while deploying the life raft, such as overpressure or upside down inflation. In such case, the crew manually needs to take care of situations. The process of launching a lifeboat involves telescopic and wire mechanisms and sometimes a free fall mechanism as well. One of the most popular launches is the Dalbert launch. Now of course the life rafts and lifeboats will be taking care of you, but you need to take care of each other as well by keeping each other positive and alert, helping in soaking a wet person, providing warmth to members who are feeling cold, equally distributing the ration and cooperating in decisions. And well, you also must be aware that the ration might not be as tasty as you expect. But one thing that a survivor must look after to survive is to never drink seawater, as that will only increase thirst and dehydration and will eventually pose a threat to life. So by now we have the basic idea about launching, arranging and sustaining oneself in a life vessel, and that's all with this video about survival at sea. See you in the next one.